Hey guys, James Marshall here, and I'm going to take you through a typical day of my life at Sutter's Mill. So we're going to start by mining. Eureka! Eureka! Oh my god! Marshall, we're going to be rich, Marshall! You need to tell all your friends and family to come to California. Marshall, we're going to be rich! We're going to be rich!
Franklin!
Yes!
Franklin! Yes! We're gonna be rich! Oh my god!
Tell your friends, go to California!
Okay. Lincoln!
Yes.
We found gold! We're gonna be rich! Go tell everyone we're gonna go to California!
No, Elaine. Not until we're rich.
The gold rush started on January 24th, 1848, when James Marshall found gold at Sutter's Mill in California. The gold rush created new opportunities for economic prosperity for many wishful thinkers. 300,000 people started migrating westward, and the majority of settlers in California were men and immigrants looking for work. According to Sierra Foothill magazine, in mining counties in 1850, only 2% of the population was women. The few husbands who brought their wife to the West Coast with them were at an advantage due to the help with the housework. On the contrary, other European women came to California and profited off the lonely men by working in brothels, bars, or casinos. However, despite the different reasons for coming, the majority of women were determined to make profit in addition to the men. The most common roles for women were consorts, prostitutes, entertainers, laundresses, cooks, and boarding house keepers, according to Feminizing the History of the Gold Rush. This is a print by Louis Nagel, a German lithographer, titled California, Departure for the Gold Regions. Gold is no chimera. It was created in 1848. The print was created the same year as the gold rush was initially found, so this is a good representation of the initial rush. The subtitle, Gold is no chimera, represents that all the people moving west believe that gold will be their future, and it is not impossible. Looking at the image, there's only a few women and children represented in the enormous crowd of people. Even then, the women are not running onto the boat, but the majority are saying goodbye to their husbands. Another interesting thing to note in this image is that all of the luggage label on the boat says CA, which shows the determination of the people getting on the boat. This is a poster advertising for the California Emigration Society in 1849. On the poster it reads, "It is hoped a large number of females will go, as females are getting almost as good wages. While they are recruiting men, they want more women and children in California as well. There has been a transition from economic profit and individualism to trying to build a successful society. They are trying to encourage women coming to California by offering jobs and by letting them know how much money they would make and how successful they would be, because a successful society cannot function without women." Further proof that the population of women in California is almost non-existent, this is a letter from Mary Jane Megqueer, who ran a boarding house in California, to Milton Benjamin. On her journey westward, she ran into a bunch of natives. She wrote, "As I was the only lady in the party, they gave me a chance in their hut, but a white lady was such a rare sight that they were coming in to see me until we found we could get no sleep. We got up and spent the remainder of the night in open air. At 4, we took up our bed and walked." This entry by Mrs. Megqueer depicts her experience as the only white woman traveling, and it is another example of the few amount of women settling westward. The natives are looking at her as if she doesn't fit in, and they are in awe because they have never seen this before. To the natives, she is a blue pushpin in a sea of red. The natives wanted to let her sleep in her hut so she could be shown to the other natives during the night. Their curiosity got so enormous that Mrs. Megqueer was forced to leave. Due to the few women in California, brothels, saloons, and prostitution were highly successful. This is a wood carving created in 1852. The artist who created this emphasizes the crowdedness of the gambling house. The room is packed and there is hardly any room to move. This indicates that there is a lot of success in brothels, saloons, and gambling houses. These companies profit off of the workers' loneliness and boredom. This is why prostitution was likely so successful, because they were able to profit off of weakness. Sierra Foothill magazine stated that one noted prostitute claimed to have earned $50,000 in a few months. Typically, women working in bars, brothels, or gambling houses are often overlooked in this time period due to a lack of formal education, public encouragement, or interest. Therefore, their personal stories are often disregarded from publication. The majority of the prostitutes in San Francisco are French. S.F. Gate discusses how the French government held the lottery of the golden ingots, which sent over 4,000 people to San Francisco. French women were typically coming for economic prosperity. They could make up to $500 at a saloon, or they came in hopes to raise their social status by marrying higher class men. The few women who came to California with their husbands were expected to double their work and take care of their own family and other minors who needed help. Augustin Hibbard wrote to his brother about his early days in California in 1850. He wrote, "The next day after they left, I was seized with a relapse of the fever attended by inflammations of the kidney, and for 3 days remained alone in my tent and probably would have died alone had it not been for Mrs. Hamilton. God only knows what my feelings were when I heard the voice of Mrs. H outside of the tent, calling me to know whether I was within or not. A visit from an angel could not have been more welcome." Mrs. H had increased her household duties from just taking care of her own family to healing other minors who had fallen ill. When Mrs. H and her family moved to California, her societal duties now forced her to work twice as hard and help others who did not have their wives with them. Another example of this is a diary entry written by Mrs. Ellen Hunt in 1859. She wrote, "First week of July, Cam and John have bought an eating house, will open next week. Have been very busy preparing fruit to make pies. Feel weak and trembling and far from cheerful. Have used my strength as fast or faster than I gained it. Have not seen a woman yet." This passage from Mrs. Hunt emphasizes how her role has changed to the few women in the area. She has not seen a woman yet. Mrs. Hunt is almost expected to open the eating house and run it so she can take care of the men who aren't fortunate enough to have a wife with them. Overall, the societal norms for women drastically changed during the gold rush. Women were either categorized as rebellious and profited off of men's emotions, or they became more involved in their household chores because they were expected to take care of more people. Two completely different standards. Ultimately, throughout the short, expansion West, women were in high demand to support families and build a community. Women used that to their advantage to gain economic profit, whether that was working at a gambling house or running a boarding house.
But memory kind still brings to mind the love of friends we left behind. Then ho, boys, ho, for California, oh. There's plenty of gold, so I've been told, on the banks of the Sacramento.